In the previous class, we understood what is Fabric data warehouse and also what and all you do once you create the data warehouse, like loading the data into the data warehouse, querying the data, transforming the data, and preparing the data for the analysis, monitoring the data, and also securing the data in the data warehouse. Okay. Out of which, conceptually and also hands-on, we have covered loading the data, querying and transforming the data. Now, the time is, so we have built the data warehouse, right? After building the data warehouse, what next, Malini?
Analysis and reporting.
Yeah, analyze and report. That is what we have to do. Okay. So now the question is, Vinit, how will you start analyzing and reporting? How will you do that?
We will look out if there is some redundancy in the data and all these kind of things, sir.
Very good. Some redundancy, yeah, all those things. Okay. So to some extent, you would have already taken care of that as a part of the transformation earlier. What we were discussing is how will you start analyzing and reporting? We need to prepare the data for reporting purpose. So basically, I'm saying we have developed the data warehouse, we have loaded the data into that, we have done a query and transformation. Then the next step is for analysis and reporting. In order to do so, we cannot just jump into the analysis and reporting just like that. You need to prepare the data. Okay. So there are different ways of preparing the data. Any thoughts of preparing the data? What are the important aspects of preparing the data, Vinith?
Transformation.
Good. Okay. So there are different things what we can do to prepare the data. Okay. But one of the very, very important aspect of preparing the data is modeling the data. Within modeling the data, we have something called semantic modeling. Okay. Whenever you talk about reports, whether in a Fabric or any other BI platforms, hear this term often, semantic. So in order to prepare the data for analysis, you have to model the data. Within that, semantic modeling is one of the very, very important aspect. Now, Parvin, what is the semantic model?
Building the connection between the tables, sir.
Very good. That is one of the important aspect of the semantic model. Any other thoughts?
Organizing the tables.
Good. Okay. Semantic model defines relationships between the different tables in the semantic model. Okay. In the model, we can say the first aspect is it defines the building of the relationships and also the rules for how data need to be aggregated or summarized. That is the second part, the rules. First is the relationships, second is the rules, and the last one is the measure or calculation that are used to derive the insights from the data. Okay. When we talk about the semantic model, see, we have a data now that need to be represented in a nice manner to the management guys to take the decisions. In order to do so, we have to build the relationships between the data which we want to showcase and also establish the rules for aggregation and summarization and also do the calculations itself. All these aspects are rolled up under semantic model. Makes sense now? It is easy, right? Parvin, semantic
Yes, sir.
model, we have been hearing about semantic model is taken care now, right?
Mhm.
Malini, easy, right?
More sensible now.
Yeah, three things. What are those?
Building the relationship between the tables, and the next one is how the data is grouped or rules for grouping the data, and the third one is calculations or
Calculation.
measures.
Just say you remember either calculations or measures. That's it.
Mhm.
One more very important thing is, see, usually when we prepare the slides and all, we go to the source. Okay. In this case, which is the source for the Fabric? Who has created the Fabric platform?
Microsoft.
Microsoft, right? So 99% of our material is from Microsoft only. Okay. And let us say PySpark. What is the source for the PySpark? Apache.org, right? So 99% of our Apache.org. Like that, usually most of that we'll try to pick up from the source itself. Okay, that's what we do. So that you can cross-reference. That's all I'm trying to say. Okay. Any questions here, Shabna? Semantic model, understood?
So same meaning for SQL semantic.
Semantic model is semantic model. It can be model in the table. It is the same thing.
When the SQL comes, so there also they are grouping.
Now tell me one thing, Shabna. Now, where are we discussing the semantic model as a part of what?
Warehouse.
We'll work in warehouse in a SQL or Python.
SQL.
We are discussing that only.
Hmm.
Whether we are in a database or we are in a data warehouse, we are discussing that only. But when we say semantic model, that includes building the relationship between the tables, rules for how the data is aggregated, and calculations. Okay. So we are trying to work in the SQL only. Okay. So that way we can say SQL semantic model. You got it, right? Okay.
Yes.
Now some more aspects of the semantic model in Fabric. Whenever we create the data warehouse, Fabric creates the semantic model for analysts and business users. Basically, the moment you create a data warehouse, underlying to that, Fabric creates the semantic model. So, semantic model, when it is created by a Fabric, then it has metrics that can be used to create the reports. Okay. Then, whatever the semantic model which is created during the warehouse, the analyst can use that semantic model for further using that for further analysis. Okay. So we already understood semantic model is nothing but relationships, rules, and calculations. When the Fabric is created, that semantic, those relationships, rules, and calculations, some measures are already created for the data warehouse. Okay. And one more very, very important aspect is there is one more thing called default semantic model, which is more or less similar to what we are talking. When we talk about this default semantic model, it is inheriting the logic from the lakehouse or warehouse. So basically, in order to create the measures, you need to have a source. Source is either data warehouse or lakehouse, one of those things, because there already tables are there. To some extent, tables already have a relationship, isn't it? So from there, it is deriving those relationships, rules, and measures. All those things that it is deriving. So, and a couple of more importance, like, so let us say there is this default semantic model created now, which has T1, T2, and T3 tables. Okay. And we are saying this semantic model is derived from a lakehouse. Now, if this lakehouse has these three tables, by any chance, if T4 is added here, this semantic model also automatically added in that. Hopefully, you guys are getting my point.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So objects that are in the semantic models are also created as a layout. Basically, it's a representation. Whatever I told, how it is represented. So how are they different? Now we are talking about a default semantic model. We are talking about a custom semantic model. Okay. Custom semantic model is something which is created by you guys. Create the semantic. So whenever the data warehouse is created, semantic model is created automatically. Okay. Sorry, default semantic model is created automatically, but not the custom semantic model. You have to create. That is the reason it is called as custom. Okay. This guy doesn't sync with the warehouse. Is it customizable? No. Is it limited? Yes, it is limited. On the other hand, this guy syncs with the warehouse. Customizable, yes, depending upon our requirement, we can tweak that around and user has a full control of this. Okay. I mean, you will experience it when you do this, but I don't know how far people will ask the questions. I'm just covering more points so that now that we understood so what are we discussing, Anna, at a high level?
So for querying and transforming, we need to model the data. So that about semantic models we are learning.
Absolutely. So basically, we created the data warehouse in order to make sure that that data is need to be presented for the dashboards for to create the reports. We need to model the data. One of the model is semantic model. We are discussing about that. Okay. When you do the hands-on, you will get to know that. There are three views. One is the data view. Okay. It displays the tables in the semantic model. Okay. And what are the other views, Shabna?
Table view.
Okay. So the second one is the query view. All the queries used for the model creation. It has that. And the third one is the model view, which displays the relationships and measures. Okay. These are the different views in the semantic model. Okay. We understood very, very important aspects of semantic model. Now that we understood the important aspects of the semantic model, let us understand how do we build the relationship between the tables. Okay. When we say building the relationships, what are we trying to do here is we are trying to establish the relationship between the most important basic core tables of data warehouse. They are fact tables and dimension tables. And in order to establish the relationship in Fabric, it is just a click and drag in a model. Basically, in a model view, you will have a tables. In order to establish, you have to click and drag. So that will establish the relationship between the tables. Okay. So it is very important for us to structure our analysis. Okay. If you don't establish the relationship between the tables, you may not be able to produce the good reports for the management team. The analysis is not only coming from only one table. Analysis is always a data from multiple tables. Okay. So in order to build the relationships, some of the best practices are, which you already know, please use primary and foreign keys. Okay. And also ensure the data consistency across the related tables. Okay. When I say, for example, now you have a primary key. Primary key is in int, okay, in one of the table. So that becomes a foreign key in another table. You cannot make that as a char. That is one of the consistency we are talking about. And also use appropriate cardinality. Cardinality is which are the how many tables are participating in the relationship. Okay, like is it one to one? Is it one to many? Like that. Okay. So in order to proceed further, so far we have built the semantic model. In the semantic model, basically we understood about the semantic model. In the semantic model, we established the relationships. The next thing is to create the dashboards. Okay. So any idea what are the different important tools where we can build the dashboard? Which are the primary tools which are available?
Power BI.
Power BI.
Yes. Anything else apart from that?
Tableau.
Yes. Okay. We have Power BI, Tableau. We have business objects. We have Click. Okay. So these are the different tools which are available. But our focus is on Power BI because Power BI is from Microsoft. Okay. So obviously our Fabric offers a Power BI as the visualization. In order to really work with this, we need to understand the measures, calculations, which are anyway part of the semantic model itself. Okay. So what are measures, Anna?
So like formulas which we can use to perform.
Absolutely. Okay. So measures are nothing but the computations which you need to use to aggregate the data. Okay. Like these are the metrics used for reporting. It can be total sales, profit margin, gross margin, country-wise sales, state-wise sales, region-wise sales, all those things. Those are the metrics. Okay. These measures are created by using something called DAX. DAX is nothing but data analysis expression. Okay. So it's very simple. DAX includes multiple inbuilt formulas to compute the metrics. Okay. And these are stored in the semantic model for form. So basically, measures are part of the semantic model as we have already discussed. Okay. Now that we understood, okay, we have to do the report. While reporting, Parveen, will you use all the columns in the data warehouse?
No, sir.
No, right? You may, because maybe some hundreds of columns are there in a data warehouse from a different tables. Okay. That is not required. Okay. Then what is the solution, Malini?
Data marts.
Okay, now we are directly talking to the data warehouse. So the solution is, one of the solution, there are many other solutions. One of the solution is you may have to hide the fields for simplified reporting. One is selecting only those columns which are coming from, okay. So the second thing is you can hide the fields. Let us say you have some 100 columns, you will hide some 80 columns which are not required, then visibility improves. You will be able to focus on the columns which most matter for you. Okay, it improves the visibility by showing only relevant fields. Okay, then, but when we say we hide the fields, it is not that they're deleted from the model. They're still there in the model. If you want, you can definitely hide them and you can use them. Okay, so there are different ways hide the fields, and we will discuss as a part of this one. Okay, once we are done with the building the relationships and establishing the rules and then thinking about the measures, the last part is visualizing the data. Before you visualize the data, you also perform some of the things like identifying the missing or incorrect data, and you can also visualize the results of the SQL queries in the visualization of the data fabric, and also you can validate the transformations before report. Basically, this is also you're visualizing the data as a part of the data preparation. Understand that. Okay, so final aspect, you have done everything. Just check whether everything is fine or not as a part of the data preparation only. Once all this is done, you will create a wonderful Power BI reports. That's what you will do. So far, so good. You guys understood the overall flow, what and all we do as the analysis, data preparation for the reporting. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right? Okay. That's all for now. Like and subscribe and turn on notifications for future videos. Thank you.